Australia. I've since lived in America, well, for almost 20. Does that add up? No. Okay, 16 years then. I'm 41. I'm not lying about my age. Anyway, to me, it's beside the point where Valerie's from. It's about the essence of who she is and what she went through, who she was, who she became, and who she is today, and how, you know, her family survived that. And you know, to me, it's just the story is about an unbelievable betrayal that took place, and how she prevailed and stood by the truth and against all odds, and what incredible courage it took to move forward in that kind of space. So just an inspiration as a woman. It's rare that you get that opportunity.
Adding on to that, I met Valerie originally through friends of ours in Washington, D.C., and I was at dinner at their home one night, and they started telling me about this incredible woman by the name of Valerie Plame, and they said, do you think it would make an interesting movie? And the more I listened to them speak about Valerie and her strength, I said, absolutely. They arranged for Valerie to come over to their home, and we stayed up all night long, probably till 3 or 4 in the morning, and we spoke together as two professional women, then talked about the challenges of balancing family, a professional life, and the demands of it. And I think that the storytelling is very rooted in the facts, in those realities.
Absolutely.
Sir?
Yes, Armin Kuyumjian from Chile. The film is great and a pleasure to watch. And I don't know whether your purpose was just entertainment or whether you wanted to pass on a message or like create a scandal. But isn't it frustrating that with all the books, films, inquiries, not just in the US, but also in Britain, where exactly the same thing happened, none of the big shots ended up in jail, and even worse, we may be playing through the same story again in the case of Iran presently. So at the end of the day, you know, whatever we do, whatever we protest, it still goes on. Thank you.
Who wants to take on that one?
Yeah. I'll take a stab at that. I think that forever and ever, there'll be a battle between the truth and lies. And I think that one of the things that struck us from the very beginning about this story was that it was about someone who told the truth. And it's about the necessity, and I think this speaks right to your point, of truth in a democracy. A democracy can't survive unless the public is informed and knows the truth. And it's also about truth in a marriage. And those things, two things, it fascinated us how how beautifully those coincided. But I think that it's an ongoing battle, and you're right, it is frustrating, and the frustration will never end. But I think we all have to do what we can to help bring out the truth.
And I came to this film, you know, my father ran various government investigations, including the investigation into the Iran-Contra scandal. And he ran the congressional investigation, which was not the criminal investigation. And in fact, it put him into conflict with the criminal investigation because in order to tell the truth about what happened in Iran-Contra, he was having to give immunity to some of the players, which meant that it was unlikely they would ever be prosecuted. And my father always cited Justice Brandeis, that sunlight is the best disinfectant, and that the most important thing we could do, even more important than necessarily punishing some of the players, is to tell the story of what happened.
Okay, who has the question over there? Sorry, you have the mic. Go ahead, sir. Then you have the mic.
Hi, it's Rodrigo from Globo Brazil. Question to Mr. Liman. Well, Sean Penn is not here today with us. I would like you to say a few words about the process of directing Sean Penn.
It's, Sean, what was incredible about this movie is my first two choices to be in the movie were Naomi Watts and Sean Penn when Jez and John Henry and I sat down with the script and with Bill and Janet and Jerry and said, these are my, and normally you have your first choices and then you end up with, your third choice, and sometimes you discover your third choices worked out great, but we actually got our first choices, and, Sean Penn, is probably the greatest living actor. I went into the film thinking that, and he did not disappoint. It's very hard when you have expectations that high, and life for him must be very tough because everybody expects him all the time to be extraordinary, but the reality is he just continually is extraordinary. And watching him work was unlike anything I've ever seen before, because he would hang out with Joe Wilson, and each day he would become more and more like Joe Wilson. It was almost like watching a horror movie where, like, Invasion of the Body Snatchers or something, where slowly, like, the personality of Joe is being sucked out and going into Sean. And, like, on every little detail, and it was one of the most magnificent things I've ever seen. And he is so hardworking. Does not, a lot of times, they'll be joking on the set, and Sean was really like, he would show up on the set as Joe Wilson, and he would stay committed, and we didn't always work the longest days with him because he would come in and completely focused, and we would do exactly what we needed to get done, and then the day would be over and he could relax.
Go ahead.
Hi, Ben Hoyle from The Times. A question for Mr. Butterworth. For anyone who doesn't know, Mr. Butterworth's recent play, Jerusalem, has been a huge hit in the UK. And both that and this film seem to imply a sort of distrust of authority. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about that theme in your work, or whether indeed there's anything else that connects the play and the film script.
The main thing that connects them was that I wrote the play in the evenings when we were shooting the movie. I actually ended up leaving the airport at JFK, shooting a scene with Sean that Doug was shooting, and flying straight to the first rehearsal of Jerusalem. I mean, I don't really know what connects the things that I choose. They seem to be that seems to be for other people to do. I know that at the heart of both stories was something that gave me goosebumps, and that's really what I go for as my sort of bellwether, as my compass as to whether or not to take a story on, is whether it excites me in that kind of
Yes.
primal way.
Sorry, you remember you said I'm also taking this on because it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. When we began it, John Henry and I chose this project because it seemed impossible. It involved such an amount of research, and we're both English. It wasn't a subject that we were versed in, and we took it on because of the challenge.
Okay, the question over there, and then to sir.
Hello, Joseph, Movies for the Masses from Greece. I'd like to ask, I found that your film depicts an era of political bullying from the White House to its citizens via the media. And so I was wondering how important it was for you, Mr. Liman, to convey the feeling of leaving in such an era, and whether you feel that both the US people and the US media have now learned that it's wrong and they can avoid it next time, maybe.
I'm not sure I was trying to be that opinionated about it as much as, trying to convey just what it felt like in America at that time, and not really with a, this was not an advocacy film. You go watch Countdown to Zero that Valerie Plame is in, that's here, and you leave that film and you have specific political steps you want to take, or you watch The Cove and you want to text, you want to send that text message and give $10 to save the dolphins. This film is just trying to just tell a story about something that happened, and I'm not sure I didn't have a purpose beyond wanting to tell this story, and feeling that it was important to tell this story, because I'm also a realist, and I understand how we ended up in a situation where the press would just parrot or just say what the White House told them to say, because that's how you got access to the White House, and I'm not sure how that situation ever changes.
Okay, sir, and then sir.
Yes. My name is Parviz Jahed. I am from Iran, and my question is to Mr. Doug Liman. And I come from a country that is expecting a war more terrible and more catastrophic than the Iraq war. And there is a claim against Iran's nuclear program and the possible threat against the American national security. And I'd like to hear your comment on this, whether it is a true claim or another false or lie to American people and the whole world.
I'm not sure what the question is.
Your film is about lie and truth, and I wonder, I just want to hear your comment on this claim against Iran's nuclear program and the possible military threat against the American policy, American national security.
I'm not a nuclear non-proliferation expert. I mean, our movie is about a nuclear non-proliferation expert. It's, Valerie Plame, who is an expert and could speak with authority about this. So I don't feel qualified to, it's not why I made the film, and it's not really what the film is about.
Okay. Question, sir.
Roger Friedman from the Daily News in New York. The movie's great. Doug, you did a great job, and Naomi, you were terrific. I wanted to ask you two questions. One is, you've been mentioning that the Wilsons are here, and actually Valerie's been promoting Countdown to Zero. And I wondered, when this film comes out, is she going to be part? She's not here, so I'm wondering why she's not here. And are you going to be using her for the marketing of the film? And the other question I had was for Jez, because I thought Scooter Libby the actor was good, but you didn't include Cheney and Rove, who were pretty evil. And just wondering why they weren't more characters in the movie, why they weren't represented more in the movie by actors.
So answering to Valerie, because this is a film festival, so we were told she is here, and she and Joe are both here, and are very supportive of the movie. They obviously, part of the story is that they wanted, especially Joe, wanted this story to be told. It was important for this story to be told. So, but this is a film festival, and we were told that in the history of Cannes that they wouldn't normally bring the people on whom the film was based to a press conference like this. That is the procedure for Cannes, because I myself asked that same question.
Madam?
Second question, Jez.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to. John Henry and I didn't want to get lost in the White House in this story. I didn't want to just excavate what went on there. It was something that was focusing on their marriage, and so we didn't want to have actors playing roles of. This is just a personal choice. Didn't want to have actors playing roles of people who are recognisable. I mean, in a movie like W, you know, you've got all these actors playing these different roles. We didn't want to enter that territory.
Have Mr. Cheney and Mr. Rowe seen the film?